Hey, what's up guys? Canadian Chum here with Canadian Chum's This and That. I'm just, like I said before, I'm posting various videos of things. This here, I might start doing some what's inside videos and kind of how-to videos. If you guys are ever interested in what's inside something, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll try to get a hold of it and we can pull it apart. You know, I'm not a rich person, so if you say what's inside a switch or something like that, I'm not going to go buy a new switch and pull it apart. But, you know, just different things. But anyways, today we're going to look what's inside, you know, your average carburetor. Like this here is a carburetor from a Stihl chainsaw. Right? I'm not sure what the model names are, but, and this is just your generic carburetor with the bowl off of, you know, something like a snowblower or a rototiller. So I'm just going to start off, show you, you know, what's inside. These carburetors are pretty common, you know, just in case. Some people get scared. I don't want to pull that apart, you know, I don't know what's inside, and, you know, my recommendation is, always make sure you got a nice spot to work, so you're not going to lose parts, because yes, there are some small parts inside these guys. Same as a lot of times the balls will crack on people's units and they got to replace the primer ball. You know, try to save yourself whatever they cost $60 an hour plus just to fix some little thing on one of your machines. So anyways, most time you just need a Phillips, which is a star, and a flat screwdriver. So anyways, let's break off the bottom. Sometimes the bottom of these carburetors can have 4 screws, but you know, this is just a quick idea. So anyways, I'll show you what's inside here, guys. So let's take out the screw, and like I say, always make sure you're working in a well-lit area and stuff like that, because if you lose parts, it can be really frustrating. And I put on gloves just in case there's some crud in here or something. So anyways, yes, just set to the side. You know, even take a picture before. But yeah, when we pull this off here, let's look in the bottom. There's a diaphragm, right? Sometimes these rip or tear or rot. Depending on what carb it is, you know, you look up your model, you can get the kits and you can replace all these. Save yourself buying a new carb. But as I'm looking, you know, it's a little dirty, but this one overall looks good. You know, little things that can make your stuff backfire or not run right could be anything from, you know, inside here. I'm just going to adjust the camera here so it's not quite so blurry, guys. You know, make sure all this is cleaned out inside the folks is inside. Make sure there's nothing jamming in the way. We'll get back to this. This is just your idler set screw, which pushes up on this unit right here. But if you look inside here, guys, you know, like even old screws, Tiltsons, stuff like that, they have frost plugs, where if anybody cares what a frost plug is, just let me know. It might be one in the other carb. But yeah, as you look here, you got a little screen inside. Now these screens can, I should have brought a little pick with me. There, these screens can pop out if, you know, they're full of stuff. And you can actually look down inside and see if there's anything inside blocking the way. You know, make sure all this is clean. You know, all your holes. You know, you can even take a little bit of compressed air, not too high, and blow through. And it'll clear out everything. So, you know, just set everything to the side so you remember. As far as I'm concerned, these do not come out, so don't try to pull them out, guys. Now over on the side here, you got your high and low jets, right? So, you know, if you want, count your turns before you pull it out, so you have an idea where it's set. But you can also look at the end of your needle, see if it's broke or dirty or rusted or anything like that. Set that to the side, and same with the other one. You'll see sometimes these have a little spring on them in the center where the threads are too. But yeah, let's back this one out. Same idea. You know, take a look at the end, make sure it's all clean. You don't want to sand nothing like this, guys. You just want to wipe it with some Varasol, maybe brake cleaner or something like that. And then same where they came out, make sure there's nothing down inside. Now you can take the throttle apart. You have a little C-clip on the side. You pop the C-clip. Well, first take this screw out. I'm not going to bother doing it. It's straightforward. Pop the C-clip, and this unit should slide right out for you. This is, of course, where your throttle cable or whatnot goes. And then you got the primer ball. This is actually an easy fix, If anybody has a ripped primer ball and they want to repair it themselves. And like I said, I can't stress enough, guys, make sure you're doing this in a spot where you're not going to lose parts, because sometimes the littlest things fall out. But this is what's in your average little mini carburetor. A lot of the times, like I said, if something's not running right, all you got to do is pull one of these guys apart, get some Varasol solvent, and just let them soak, wipe down, even use a toothbrush. As you see, like certain spots, like right here, this isn't really an important spot, but you get cobwebs and stuff that build up inside, right here. Don't ask me, or ant mounds, or whatever the heck they're called. Don't ask me how the heck they do it. But you can also take pictures as you're doing it. And also, when you're putting it back together, make sure you do like the star pattern, like you do on a tire, screws in, and then, do here, then up here, and cross back forth. Just snug a little bit. Okay, yes, this does have a frost plug. That's what this is, a frost plug. A lot of time with the older Skidoos, these would pop out here, guys. So if that happens, you can tap them back inside. This here also comes out. Holy, it's tight. These are parts you do not want to lose. But if you look at it, see, there's a spring right there. It flew out. These are your little plunger that allow fuel through. Sometimes they get worn. Some of them have like the rubber on the end that's ripped or torn. See how easy that little screw could have just popped out on you guys, right? Or that little spring, sorry. So this also, you can make sure it's cleaned up and stuff like that. A lot of the time, these little brass pieces, they will unscrew, but sometimes they can be in there really tight. It's up to you what you decide to do, but you can, anything that's unscrewable, right? And some cards have just various little differences. But yeah, there's where that little piece was, as you can see, once the camera focuses. It was clean, by the way. But yeah, you can wipe all this down. Like I said, don't get the old sandpaper and stuff like that out. We got a good little pile of parts going on here, guys. But if you do it in steps, it's not so bad. Make sure little pieces of stuff aren't in there. You can't really split the body apart. But there's the breakdown pretty much of what's inside, these kind of carburetors, guys. When it comes, once it's all clean and stuff, you might not want to use gloves, as it makes it kind of harder to work with stuff. But just kind of remember where everything goes. It can be tedious. This is the most tedious part I find yet. I'm not going to bother making you guys watch me do it. But yeah, just to clean it, put it back together, just reverse your steps of what you did. So now back to the primer ball. Here's another little gasket-like unit. You can dip this in gas or solvent, make sure it's cleaned off. Make sure it's not ripped or anything like that. And as far as primer ball goes, pops right off. Make sure this is all clean also inside, guys. So all you do pretty much is reverse your steps. If you got a new primer ball, reverse your steps. primer ball back on. However way you guys take it apart, if you've taken the primer ball off, you do not have to go and take the bottom of the carburetor all off. But always remember what way stuff goes. And you know, sometimes you can look if you get mixed up and see where the imprints are of where stuff goes. So sometimes if you go to set something on, like so, you know, it'll sit in the spot where you want it to sit, right? So yeah, anyways, that's that carburetor, guys. Let's set that aside. You know, since I got it apart now, I might do a nice little clean job on it so it's all ready to go. Now let's jump into this lad. Now there are different kind of carbs, you know, like the Mikuni carb and stuff like that, where they have the plungers on top. They're set up different, but they're not rocket science either. But you know, every carb has the same concept, okay? Some carburetors they have nowadays, you don't even have to adjust anything. You might be able to adjust your throttle, your idle. But a lot of carbs nowadays come preset. So anyways, I'm just going to show you what's inside this guy if you ever get one of these. And sometimes, you know, if your carb's not working right, you can sometimes just tap it a little bit and that'll free it up. But like my other video, the 10 mil socket, definitely 10, everything seems to be 10 mil nowadays, guys. So 10 mil socket. So here's one thing you got to watch for. Sometimes these guys leak. As you see on the bottom of this, there is a rubber gasket. You know, if that falls off or that gets lost, and you don't want to tighten it when you put it back together too much because it's just a white metal and you can strip the stuff. But yeah, look inside that bowl, right? That could use a nice clean out. They also come with a rubber gasket across the top that, you know, will come off. But if you get a carb kit, you get that stuff new. Now another thing inside these guys that's a little different, it's got a float. Now a lot of the older carburetors, they have a brass float, and you know, they'd oxidize, and what this thing is, it's supposed to be sealed. You do not want a little hole in anything like this, because what it does is when you're empty, the little piece inside allows the gas in. When the bowl fills up with gas, it floats up and it seals it off inside here, and I will pull that apart to show you. But yes, it seals that off, not allowing gas to flow in anymore, and then when your gas gets low, it'll drop and then start running in and seal off again. So one easy way to check these is very simple, and just be careful, like I said, pulling it apart. You can take one of these guys and just put it in a little cup of water and push it down, see if any, you know, air bubbles come up as you move around. Just see if it floats. Now, kind of same concept as the other one with the little needle valve here that allows the fuel in. A lot of these have the setup where these will sit. There's little inside the plastic there. There's little divots that these will just sit in. You know, it's just sitting in there. Of course, you know, that's where it goes. But when you go to set it in, you want to just be very careful and line that up when you're going to set it in, and make sure it falls into there on the side just right. And then you got this little pin here that goes across the top and holds that from falling out. So anyways, let's pull this guy back apart. Now same thing here, you got little brass adjustment screws you can pull out, you can clean. Sometimes down inside, I've seen on some carburetors, there's tiny little rubber grommet that can fly out. Sometimes you can get a rubber grommet also inside here. But that is your basic bottom of that carburetor. You know, straightforward. Like this one has a choke flap, right? So, you know, you can undo the screws, pull this right apart. Here's your throttle. It's just the same thing but on the other end, right? You know, you undo that. That piece comes off, you can pull it back up. This carburetor actually looks like it has more, but it doesn't. The other little guy has more. This one's pretty straightforward and simple. Yes, you know, all your jets. You know, you get a jet here. You know, same thing. Pull it out. Take a look. You know, make sure your needles are good. Now, depending on what carb you got, if you can find out the model, you can buy carb kits where they'll come with, yeah, like there's the spring like I was saying before. They can come with, they usually come with new gaskets. Some of them come with brand new needles. you know, just make sure what's in the kit, right, if you want to attempt something like this. But yeah, they're pretty straightforward, guys. You know, maybe someday it'll take a longer video, sit down, maybe pull apart an actual carburetor, you know, maybe a 4-barreled or something, quad jet or something like that. If anybody's interested, let me know. They are a lot more complicated. Or maybe sometime I'll even get a Mikuni carb in here, show you how that comes apart. An old Skidoo carb, you know, the old Tiltsons, they can have a stack of gaskets like that on them, guys. Every carb's different, but they got pretty much the same concept. But yeah, anything else you guys want me to pull apart, maybe show you, just leave it down in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. But anyways, yeah, that's just a couple carburetors, what's inside, guys. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Take care now.